Hey everybody, Steve DeLaviaga, Rise Consulting. I am so excited. I have my brother with me today. I have spent more time on the road in front of real estate audiences with this man than anybody in my life. He is not only one of the best, smartest, most engaging edutainer speakers in America, he's also a good friend and one of my favorite people, the man, the myth, the legend, Jason Abrams. How are you, Jay?
Thank you very much for having me, sir.
That's so good. So, look at us now, right? We're road warriors to Zoom warriors.
Tell you what.
It's true. But, you and I both believe the same thing here. This is a gap that we're in. This is not a housing caused downturn. This is not, we didn't loan badly, have to live with it for 2 or 3 years. It's a gap of time and place. Walk me through how you're coaching people in your world to handle the gap.
Yeah, well, I think it's important to, as much as it is a gap, we also have to remember that what happens on the bottom of the market affects the middle and the top of the markets as well. And so right now, if you're looking up at all your plans, just like spoiler alert, you're going to have a liquidity difference. There's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
If you show less homes, you're going to write less contracts, you're going to have less closings, and we don't know how long this period of time is. Here's what we do know. We do know that this is kind of like a bow, Steve. I think that's being like drawn back. And bows at tension are really, really dangerous things. Because at some point it lets go and it just goes. And so who's in this bow? This tension is all the people that wanted to move 4 to 6 weeks ago.
Right.
That didn't. It's not like anyone that got to spend an extra month alone in their house fell in love with it. Like, they still want to move. We're also going to have, I really believe, and this happens every time there's a prolonged disaster, and this economy feels like that, which is this event happens, and then at some point the storm clouds are going to part, and we're all going to leave again. We're going to see an uptick. You're going to have a bunch of kids named Corona running around, and people are going to need bigger houses for that. That is what happens. And you're also going to have a bunch of people that look up and they decide, you know what, I want to remarch in my life, and maybe they decide you always see the divorce rate spike after this. So all of this gets added to this bow. You couple that with people that are going to need to sell because, let's just call it, there's some small business owners that might not make it back from this. They're going to need to remargin. And you're going to have some business owners that did really well during this, and they're going to want to upsize. You add all this in, and I really believe you're going to see an explosion into the market. And the truth is, you're going to have all these people that want to do business, and there's going to be a small group of real estate agents that service the majority of it. It always happens that way. And so right now, you have to ask the fundamental question, what do I need to be doing today to make sure that I'm the agent of tomorrow? And I think that when you can't capture market share, you're best off capturing mind share. Meaning the mind share that you capture today is the market share that you enjoy tomorrow. And we can talk tactics around doing it, but the fundamental truth that you taught me way back when, that people do business with people they like, that hasn't changed. The difference are the tools that you use to be liked and be visible right now. That is changing.
I love it. And let's jump back a little bit because, Jay, everybody I get to work with at this level has all had adversity in their lives to get them where they are today, right? And I call it AI, adversity intelligence. And I look at all the ways you develop. So give people just your story a little bit and what adversity event you think most shaped you into being the guy that right now 100,000 realtors look to for knowledge, advice, and guidance. Walk me through what that event looked like in your life.
And you and I have spoke about it, but for me, like the first 18 years of my life felt like that event. Now, I got some learning disabilities. I had a real hard time. I came out of high school with a 1.8 GPA. I couldn't read so well. Certainly couldn't write so well. They don't let people like me be doctors.
Mom was disappointed still about that, I know.
Oh, she called the other day, and she's like, perfect time to go back to med school. I'm like, med school? I'd have to finish high school. The truth is, I'm kind of unemployable in a lot of other industries. And that's one of the things I love about residential real estate is that a lot of the skills that aren't necessarily celebrated in academia, if you're willing to stay educationally based, actually make you a great fiduciary for a consumer.
Yes,
and so I look up and I say, okay, the adversity was being and thinking differently than everybody else and feeling like an outcast for 18 years. The gift of finding your tribe and then being celebrated is, I think, the best thing that could happen to anybody. But because I think relatively simplistically, that gives me an advantage, meaning I look up right now and I know full out that I need to cut my expenses. And I don't need to do it because I can't afford my bills. I need to do it because every dollar that I don't spend on an expense is a dollar I get to invest on the other side of this thing. An expense is something you pay to keep a service running. An investment is something you expect at least a 4x return on. And so little simple things, Steve, like saying, cool, I'm going to make a list of all my expenses, both personal and business. I'm going to drop them into 3 buckets. Bucket number 1, stuff I need to maintain continuity of life and business. I can't get rid of it. Bucket number 2, these are things I prefer to have, but if I need to cut, I can. And then bucket number 3 is everything else that I don't need. And then cut bucket number 3 immediately and start to think about repurposing those dollars. For some, that might sound overly simplistic, but I'll tell you what, Steve, that's as complicated as I can get.
Jason, what you always do well is you take something that sounds like a hard problem and make it easy. And let's be honest, too many of our practitioners in real estate don't know where the dollars are going, what the ROI is, what their cost per lead, cost per advertising campaign. And the truth is, that's the first thing you have to know if you're going to ever build something bigger than you have today. If I have a roadmap of Dallas, but I'm in Denver, I'm still lost. It's not telling me where to go, right? You need that roadmap. And I think, what you have been able to do is take these problems and just say, look, do these 3 things. Forget about everything else. Do these 3 things.
I think that's massively important on the expense side. And by the way, I think all realtors need to be contacting their customers and having that exact same conversation. You know how many of your customers don't have a list of their monthly expenses or haven't reviewed it because times have been great? Spoiler alert, all of them. You can be
Exactly.
the fiduciary. I said the other day, I was in a room full of Zoom call, and I had maybe 500 people on it, and I said, physically raise your hand so I can see it in the camera. Every one of you that received a phone call from your financial advisor offering to go through your monthly budget and help you get it into remarginalization. And you know what? I didn't see any hands. And so if they're not going to do it, then somebody is. And so this is part of Mindshare, which is how are you going to be a fiduciary? Standing side by side with the consumer, which we all agree is the absolute perfect place for the realtor to stand at a time like this where you may be showing less homes. I think that's massively important. And along with it, it's funny to me because people are willing to look at their expenses when they don't have money in the bank.
Right.
But why wait for that?
Because you said this to me once, it's your line, I use it all the time. Realtors don't pay attention till the enemy is at the gate, till they're knocking on the door, till you can see it. And right now, when you can't show houses, when people are hunkered down, the way that you be part of this rebound in the arrow is keep emotional proximity to those people over the next 4 to 6 weeks, because you are right, money finds a home. And there's be money that will be trying to invest, money that will be needing to move, more life event stuff than ever. Money's going to find a home, and real estate is going to be an investment. It's going to happen. We sold homes in 9/11. We sold homes in 08, 09. It's going to happen. But if you're not close to that database, you can't make it work. Give me 3 strategies in your mind that you're playing with right now and coaching your hundreds of thousands of agents to be part of. What are you looking at?
Yeah, number 1, you got to double down on visibility. And I think that means that you need to be seen more often. I really like all the Facebook interviews that are happening. I'm really low on you getting in front of a camera as a realtor and talking about things outside of real estate. I don't think that's a great look. I do want to see you, though, interviewing people that are experts, because that makes you look influential. And so you don't need to be the person who does an interview on how to freeze meats. I can't be the only one who overbought groceries, by the way. But if you're interview, you got a chef in your data bank, call them and do that interview. Let them do 5 to 10 minutes on that. You got a personal trainer in your data bank, call them. I'm not the only one. The only thing I discovered during this shift, Steve, is that no matter what size the pizza is, if you eat it by yourself, it's a personal one. I'm not the only one gaining weight. Get a personal trainer in your data bank and do 5 to 10 minutes on how to work out from home. Steve, the ladies that are listening to your podcast, I don't know about this, but I heard that there are these nails that they get that they're like powder or something, and you can't get them off without a construction crew and a general contractor. And so how about you interview your manicurist on how to get these things off if they can't go? I'm just saying, you need to look up and say the market of the moment, said differently. What's the message of the moment? And if you can't provide information that makes people's lives better, then you're not a fiduciary. That's just how this goes.
It's something you and I figured out a long time ago is I have to be the person that knows the expert.
Yes.
And I can just go find that person and pour into them and learn while they tell our folks how to do it. And you're right. I think selling right now will be bad move. It doesn't feel good to me, and I'm pretty salesy as a whole. I don't like how I feel about it. I'm telling every vendor partner, best in class partner I have, what is your strategic give? Give me a free database audit. Give me a free CRM website audit. Give me something my agents can do for free while they're working through this to be prepared for that tension arrow shot out. You got to be around the rebound.
And what you're talking about is you're capturing mind share that you know is going to lead to market share. And so I love the idea of you interviewing people. I love the idea right now. You asked for 3. I'm going to give you 3. Good. I love the idea of small business stimulus.
I love it.
And I see all these posts on Facebook, which is, I went to dinner at a local restaurant and I'm supporting them. I love that. I think it's great, but I don't think that's stimulus. I think that's dinner. Yeah. You want to do something for a small business. How about you call 12 or 15 small business owners in your market? Then you do a 10-minute Facebook interview with them on how people can help them stay in business, what makes their stuff great. Then you have them give an offering to your data bank. Buy an appetizer, get a free entree. And then you send an email to your data bank about that business, and then you send a text message to your data bank about that business. That's a small business stimulus package.
Love it.
And in return, I think what you want is as soon as the cessation of business is over and they have physical locations back open, you want to start producing a newsletter that sits in that business physically once a month for 12 months once this thing passes. You did this with 15 small businesses. You'd be in physically 15 small businesses for a year on the other side of this. You would be omnipresent within your communities. That is an absolute no-brainer.
I love it. What's third?
The third one that I love is you have to realize right now that homes have become schoolhouses and prayer houses and gyms and all of these different things. And I want you to make a list of all the different things that homes have become and then ask yourself, which of those things are you passionate about? And that's what you should be reaching out to your people and talking about. And I'll tell you this, if you got a teacher in your data bank, do us all a favor and do a 10-minute Facebook Live on how we can get through this weekend. I watched a craft show the other day. I made a dream catcher with the kid last weekend, Steve. But people need this stuff. I saw a real estate agent. She went and she got a black and white outline of her real estate company's logo and her logo. And she emailed that out to her entire data bank. And she said, coloring contest, go. Print it out, have your kids color it, take a picture of it, post it on Facebook, tag me, best realtor in the world, Jason Abrams, winner gets free pizza. And all of a sudden, her Facebook feed is full of kids coloring her logo. That's mind share. That's creative. I absolutely love it. And then the last thing I really believe, you have to be the president of your data bank right now. You have to be giving actionable intelligence, meaning they're watching their 401ks and their stocks be really volatile. You have to remind everybody, we don't practice mark to market with residential real estate. And if you're not there telling them what's going on with the value of their home, they're going to get that information somewhere else. The top agents out there, I watched a video, Steve, of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he was telling the world, it's a public service announcement. He was saying, it's not that hard to stay home. Meanwhile, he was telling it to me from inside of a hot tub while smoking a cigar. Cool, love that. Then it's probably easy for him to be at home. But here's what's going to happen. There's a lot of mega agents out there right now that are in that proverbial hot tub, smoking that cigar, just passing time. You got some upstart real estate agents out there that are working 15 hours a day right now to capture mind share. And I just want to warn every top producer who thinks this is a vacation, don't sleep right now. Now is the time for action. You wake up tomorrow with 25% less mind share in your data bank, and you're going to lose market share.
Great nugget. Actionable, what'd you call it? Actionable content? What was the word?
That's right.
Actionable content. Because too many times, look, everybody's going to want to know what their home is worth. Would they lose any money? Equity creates choice. People have equity this time around. They didn't have it in 08, 09, but now they do. So to your point, do I take some chips off the table, pull this cash out now, rent a little bit and watch? Have I decided I don't really care for my spouse anymore and now I want to downsize and get out? Am I going the other way and going upsize because my business, I'm in groceries and alcohol and it's going crazy? This is do a database audit. Everybody out there, do an audit. Take IV Data, which is one of our BICs. I love it. It'll give you phone numbers, home anniversary dates, email addresses. Any gap you've got with that address, they'll fill it in for you. If you don't come out of this thing with a clean, investor-ready data bank to go communicate with, to stay emotionally close to, it's going to become a problem.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And I really think, look, every real estate agent needs to look up and ask a question that they may not have asked for the last 10 or 15 years while it's been so great, which is, what am I paying for right now with the brokerage houses I'm at? And am I getting the most out of the value? And if not, do I plug into it? And then where are my gaps? You know, when you're running so fast as we all have been, you don't slow down ever. And ask yourself, where are the biggest gaps? If there's a gift, and you hate to think there's one, because this virus is terrible, Steve.
Yeah.
But right now, you can slow down just a little bit. And you can look at your family, and maybe you want to remargin your time a little bit. And you can look at your business, and maybe you get to remargin your expenses. You can look at your data bank, and maybe you get to remargin the way that you've been communicating. The worst thing to do during this would be to come out of it with no strategic advantage. And I think that's what everyone has to remember. I got an email 3 days ago from a real estate agent who said, you know, I feel completely left out because there's all this opportunity in the stock market, and I have no idea how to take advantage of it. And I was thinking, like, that's like standing in the diamond mine and looking out over the desert and saying, oh, gosh, I wish I was out there. Like, please focus and invest on the things that you're an expert in. And people need realtors now more than ever. You know, there's all this talk, and I agree with you. I think that the consumer always gets what they want on a long enough timeline.
Yep.
And I think they want more seamless search. I think they want to look at less homes, but more of the right ones. And I think they want easier and seamless transactions. You don't have to log into 13 systems to do it. I think they want to do most of it from their phone. That said, until you can show me a way to virtually let me know how a home smells, people are still going to want to walk into houses.
Yeah, I think you said this earlier. More consumers than ever use realtors.
Yes.
Period. And by the way, I work with Open Door, OfferPad, Zillow, and I can tell you their 3 scores all go up when they have a realtor involved in the transaction. So out of this, you're right. We're going to lose 300,000 or 400,000 realtors, but the 100 to 200 that got intentional, that lived consciously through this, that actually worked on their data bank, not just in it happened. Do me a favor here. I hit this question all the time. I want to get your take on it. How is this current dip/mini recession different than 08, 09 in your mind?
Well, first of all, not an economist, and I would leave that because I know you speak to people all the time about it. In my mind, that was similar to the 87 crash. In 87, you had savings and loans, which were cracked up with massive balance sheets with no liquidity. And we kind of saw the same thing. Mortgages had been turned into mortgage-backed securities. Those securities were being bundled and sold, and bond investor payments still needed to be made, whether homeowners made them or not. And when the market started to collapse, which, by the way, there's a moment of collapse. If you remember, Steve, in 08, it was a white paper from one brokerage guy who said there's a problem here and a giant short that changed the world. And then Lehman Brothers went under and the world changed.
It feels like standing over a well with a rock that you dropped in the well and put your ear over, and you never heard it hit the water. It just kept going.
I think this one is different in that the fundamentals in the mortgage sector, those are really good. Right. And the stress test balance sheets for most of the lenders are phenomenal. And so what we don't have is a systemic issue that's economy driven. We have a health crisis. And we have to, number one, care about people and get people healthy. And number two, we have to turn on the economy. And by the way, that will happen naturally because there'll be a point where people get to the other side of fear. And is there going to be a new normal? Sure. Is that normal going to include real estate agents standing side by side with consumers? You better believe it. And anyone that wants to bet against it, I'm taking bets, and you're going to have to go through a lot of us to get there.
The truth is, you're going to have the ones that are more informed and more engaged elevate and expand their customer proximity base. And the ones that, like you said, took vacation, the ramp up will be longer or they just won't get back.
Yeah, but nobody has to go out of business. Meaning, when someone says we're going to have 200,000 or 300,000 less agents, you're making a choice today on which one of those cohorts you're going to be in. And here's the thing. When the world changes, you need to pivot and change your plan too. And hope is never the strategy you want to go with. And mind share right now is the strategy that I think you want to go with. And then you have to get tactical about it. So it's funny to me because when you talk to financial advisors, they'll give you a million different ways to value a company.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like a neophyte. So I look up and say, well, let me do it a little different. Meaning, if they said I could go right now and leave my house and do anything I want, which are the activities I'm still not going to rush to do? Those are the companies I want to bet against. Then on the other side, I ask a different question. Which companies are my 7-year-old going to love when he's 16 and 18? And then I bet long on those. Now, some of you are thinking, oh my gosh, that makes a lot of sense. Others of you are thinking that's way too simplistic. Neither of you are wrong. The people that worry me are the ones that are not thinking right now about taking any new actions. You don't have to be uber complicated. Set up a system that involves touching your people 2 or 3 times and then start doing it regularly. If you don't add a new activity into your world right now, you are absolutely going to have a smaller world on the other side.
Yeah, you have a good line. What's it cost for a Zillow lead average?
I mean, $50, $60 a lead.
What's it cost for a Google lead?
Yeah, it's 13, 15.
Facebook.
Yeah, same deal.
What's the only lead you can't buy that realtors have to have?
100%. You can't buy a past client.
Right. So if you don't know name, phone number, email, house anniversary address, what their social platform of choice is, kids, grandkids, dog, cat, this is the time to get all of that done. Why does Amazon make you and I feel good? I walk in and hit my Alexa and it says, would you like to listen to country music? Yes, I would. Boom, and Faith Hill comes on, or Johnny Cash, and I'm like, hey man, this is nice. They don't have to ask me squat because they already know it. That's part of where we have to start to live and breathe. All right, if you as an agent, I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be some virtual world, but I do think the world will be altered for a period of time and then probably have a little different flavor. What skill do you think our realtors have to really get that might be new for them, become a ninja at so they can move forward in a more positive way coming out of this?
You know what? You're not going to like the answer. Everyone's going to turn off your podcast. I'm going to kill right
I doubt it.
Guys, this is just about being human. You got to be more human, more often with more people. Use the Adele script. Hello, how are you? That's it. That's the script. And any other script that you use is the wrong one right now. And look, we only get to decide 3 things: who we follow up with, and by what frequency and what intensity. That's all we get. And the truth is, y'all haven't been following up. And I don't mean following up to see when they want to buy houses. I mean staying in human relationship with people, because people do business with people they like.
I love it. No,
you've been a mentor of mine for so long, and I never make business decisions without calling you first, and life decisions. And I got to tell you, when you first told me that all those years ago, I really didn't get it. And here's how I started to understand it, and I would urge everyone to do this. Think about when you showed homes to a good friend of yours. Did it feel like work? It was actually kind of fun. Like you didn't mind going on a Saturday. Think about when you went to a good friend's house on a listing appointment. Did you sell them anything? You didn't. It felt organic. The next step was for them to list their house with you. It would be absurd to think of it any other way. That's what we're striving for in our database.
It is. And I think I want to see people do this. Get comfortable with video and audio. It's going to continue to be a bigger part of what we do. FaceTime people instead of call them when you can. Just get used to seeing a face, right? And I think, like you said, you have the best instinct of any sales leader in this space I know of, and you'll feel when it becomes something that you think you need to start selling a little heavier. Right now, you're right. It is the Adele script.
That's it.
It is the, hey, how we doing? But you'll feel as it turns, hey, listen, we're coming out of this a little bit. I want to just let you know where I have your house in today's world. That kind of discussion. Jay, okay, let's say this. Let's crystal ball a little bit. Let's say it's 6 years.
I got to be quick because I'm up against the hard stop. I got to run.
Good. Give me your last final thoughts then.
This is the time for all real estate agents across all brands to join together. This is not the time in history to be knocking on each other. I promise you, there's time for that. Right now, you have to pick up your roster. You got to call the agents at your office, not the ones that you know. You got to call the ones you don't know. And you got to make sure they know that you care about them. Because there's two types of people. There's the type of people that sit home and wonder if anyone cares, and there's the type of person that makes sure everyone knows about it. I need you to be in that second group because this is more about humanity than technology right now more than ever. And that's the message.
The realtor tribe and community will always thrive because they have a bigger bond than ever. I love you, brother. Be good, man. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
See you, boy. Be good. Talk soon.
Thanks.
See you, man. Bye-bye.